Becoming a racing driver is impossible, or is it? The good news is it's obtainable, even if you have a normal job. The bad news is it requires sacrifices and, like everything in life, a lot of work.
I gave myself like a realistic timeline, like 5 years. I'm like, okay, you've got 5 years as a YouTuber, and then you've got to go and do something else. It's my 10th year as a YouTuber this year, and I'm driving a cup car.
Every driver you look up to, if not born with a silver spoon, had to give a lot of sacrifices to get there. Financial struggles, uncertainty, doubts, even broken relationships. Most of us don't just spawn in there. And all of that for this crazy passion of wanting to compete on track. It's insanity, but with a passion. It's an undescribable love for the sport and its competition. Something that first gave us an itch in maybe Simracing and then track days, and now we're here. And those who are destined to race will race. This is a very special video for me, and I'm glad you're part of it. Let's get right in. Eifel, home of the Nürburgring, but also home to the place that houses the Motorsport Akademie, where you can make your racing license. So it's finally happening. I'm finally applying for my racing license, which means I will be becoming a racing driver. A rookie, but a racing driver. Now, this was what I was always dreaming of. And we will see if we can do all of this on a budget. Now, we are here at Mandik, which is it's an airfield. This is where you can make your license. You will have to do some theory tests and then practice tests. These are exactly those people that we've met at the Essen Motor Show, and the goal of this is basically to still stay within a realistic budget. We will try and get sponsors. We will talk you through the entire step of what it takes to become a racing driver on a budget. I will talk about every little step from how we approach sponsors, and we will be paying everything out of our own pocket at first, and then hope that we gather some people along the way to be supporting our journey, right? But here it starts. Our RCN car, a Mini, fully built for RCN, a full cage, carbon doors, everything it needs for us to compete in RCN this year. Let's treat all of this like as if this was making my Gran Turismo license. Play the lounge music now. First of all of the licenses that we need, which is the National A, and then there's the International D, C, and B that you have to make. Now the national one only counts for every national event that you want to do, say RCN, BMW, Challenge, all of these things. But if you want to drive NLS, you need to have at least 5 races to get your international D license, and then you can drive NLS, which is an international challenge, which means you require the international D license. And there, usually, you also make your C license, and then you just keep going. And at some point, you have all the licenses that you need to drive GT3. That's what you want to do, and if you have the money, but I don't think I will be ending up there at all. So yeah, but let's get ready. The cars are already starting, and I'd say let's get right into it. Everyone this day is making their first step into official motorsport, and the chances are high that the people that you meet here, the faces that you see, are people that you will see again further down your career. Erstmal darf ich fragen, wie lange du das hier schon machst?
Seit 20 Jahren.
Und in den 20 Jahren, die ganzen Gesichter, die man hier sieht und die das anfangen zu lernen, triffst du die immer wieder?
Ja, ich treffe einige davon natürlich auf der Rennstrecke wieder. Nicht immer unmittelbar nach so einem Lehrgang, aber es werden immer so 15-20% sein, die auf der Rennstrecke wieder da sind, ja.
Waren da welche dabei, die es dann wirklich weit hinaus geschafft haben?
Der eine oder andere ist in die ADAC GT Masters aufgestiegen. Also es ist ein sehr, sehr fruchtbarer Lehrgang. Also da gibt es immer wieder gute Leute, die sich nach oben arbeiten dann.
Das ist doch dann bestimmt auch schön, so die Fahrer von Anfang an zu sehen, wie die sich entwickeln, und dann auf einmal stehen die da oben.
Also wir haben hier natürlich immer nur einen ersten Eindruck von dem, was die Fahrer in der Lage sind zu leisten. Oft sehe ich die aber nachher in den Trainingssessions nochmal, und da kann ich natürlich die ganze Entwicklung mir ansehen, und dann macht es besonders Spaß.
And with the era changing year by year, if you had mates in sim racing that you just raced together with, some of them you'd see at some point in their career where they entered their motorsport journey. For a lot of us, it starts virtually, and for some of us, it paves our entire way into motorsport. And for some of my friends, I was able to see this development as well, like Suelio Almeida, for example. And sim racers most of the time have humble beginnings. It's why I dislike it if they're just the influencer car. You start with not much besides pure motorsport fascination and really just a dream of perhaps one day becoming a racing driver. Thinking even further back, like Steve starting Gran Turismo and streaming, would you have thought this far?
Definitely not. I was thinking about this just now actually, because in 2019 I first bought a sim rig with Fanatec equipment on it. So it's only sort of 6-7 years ago. Oh, I said 6-7, didn't I? It's only about 7 years ago that I first bought a wheel, and then now I'm racing in a Porsche Cup car. I mean, that's pretty surreal, to be honest.
Every prep, like always, we do, always on a sim. Quite a lot of cars. This is more cars than in some of the race series that you can drive. And you have all sorts of different participants in here. This is one of the things I find really cool. All of the people here are so chill. The higher you go up in the racing series, the more it becomes like very, I'd say, rich people, right? And here everything feels a bit like a family. The people from RCN come over and they give you information, you get help everywhere, and you know, if you have questions, you can just go and ask. That's a really nice introduction for me into motorsport. Yeah. I have to go into the car now. By the way, did you know that 80% of you aren't subscribed? Well, I did the thing. Anyways. Before we moved to the actual circuit layout, we would do a little bit of parkour that they set up for us. So they would set up some cones for us to drive through, and these cones were set up like gates, and every gate was set up randomly. To me, it was difficult to predict the exit because you didn't really see the entry or any real visual cues that you would usually have on a real track. On a track, you can learn it, you have your visual cue points, but with cones, it's a bit difficult. Afterwards, we moved to the circuit layout. This felt to me like a mini version of Sebring, not just because it was an airfield, but in terms of bumpiness. First, it was time for us to do a rolling start before everyone was allowed to go into free practice, which meant we could set lap times, explore the limits of ourselves and our cars, and just have fun while not crashing. Now, with the rolling start, there were a lot of rules that we had to remember. If you fall behind, you can only overtake until the grid sign, and the minute signs don't really indicate how many minutes are left. So let's say it says 10 minutes, but it could still take 12 or 15 minutes until the next minute sign. And you should always just prepare beforehand to not get into panic and not be able to fasten your seatbelt and get ready in the car. Because remember, at some point your team also has to get removed from the grid, and then you're just there on your own trying to strap yourself up into your seat, and that's something that you should definitely avoid. Now, this is something that you will not learn on iRacing, so this was extremely helpful. Another interesting thing that I've learned is everything will be told in the briefing. Now, if you use green lights, a flag, or anything, that will be told in the briefing. If you do not appear in the briefing, well, that's a fine for you, and yes, an actual fine that you have to pay because you did not show up. If you're not instructed on how to start, not only do you put yourself into danger, but also everyone else, and you can delay the race. Honestly, all of this is a bit much information for my first race, so I don't think I will be doing our start. I would like to hand that to Hassan. Hassan, if you're watching right now, I'd be happily handing that over to you because I don't want to be responsible for delaying any start or putting us into last position. However, now it was finally time for open practice. It's basically like a track day. You can imagine it like that. Yeah, we will be sending it, and I mean for real sending it, because we're allowed to drift a little bit, we're allowed to slide, we're allowed to really test the limits of our cars here. Get used to it, because it's better to get used to it here rather than you're in the middle of a race or something and you find the limit of the car. That's not good. So this used to be an old airfield, and I don't know if it is still an airfield, no idea. Maybe we ask the people. Entschuldigung. Das war mal ein Flugplatz. Das ist kein Flugplatz mehr, oder?
Ist er tatsächlich immer noch.
Ja.
Also es kann sogar gut sein, dass zwischendurch, wenn wir Pause haben, noch der ein oder andere Flieger hochgeht.
Nein, echt? Okay, so it's not an abandoned airfield. It's an airfield that's being used. I didn't know that as well. So crazy. Let's hope there's no plane landing. on us. There were no planes landing on us. However, my brakes were going to be the temperature of a jet engine because the timer was on 1 hour and 30 minutes. Now it was finally time for free practice, which meant I was finally allowed to push the car over 100%, and I was never really able to do that on tourist drives because, I mean, logically you don't do that there. And we would take a slow approach towards the main straight to let everything cool down, and once we arrived at the main straight, it was full send. And now high speeds at over 200 kilometers per hour, going 230 on the main straight, approaching the first cones, and in between the third and second cone I would brake, hard braking zone, now trail down into the apex, going early on the throttle to go wide on exits, over the curves, a little bit over the grass, and now back into the high speed straight here, going towards the next braking zone, really hard one. Second cones I would trail brake down into the apex, and now going wide, sliding a little bit, avoiding the gutters on the side because they can fly out and cause damage. Now approaching the section with the cones, and my PS4S Street Sport tires were really struggling here. Approaching the next hard braking zone, a really beautiful one. Now braking down, trail braking into the apex, and setting up the car for the next corner. This section felt really great. Now keep the corner speed here, set the car up correctly, and now trail brake in here into the apex, and then go really wide on exit, over the curbs, a little bit over the grass again, and then going towards the main straight, which was super understeery. At this corner I really noticed that I was on street tires, and now reaching up high speeds again to finalize my best hot lap of the day of 1 hour and 30 minutes of free practice. This was a ton of fun, and we were able to really experiment with the car. Compared to the Nordschleife, this had way harder braking zones, and my car really isn't built for that. I built it for toury drives to practice for my races, and this was a bit much for the brakes. We have brake cooling at the garage and we want to install it. And I mean like actual brake cooling pipes that connect with the ducts on my front lip to give me really good brake cooling. But besides brakes and tires, it felt really great. The car feels really great. Yeah, we pushed them to the limits pretty much. On the Nürburgring, you don't have so many hard braking zones, and here you have them before every corner almost, so the brakes were on the limit. Now that's why we're gonna install some brake cooling. I already have that ordered though. Ring Toys already has that. Try your helmet on before, and don't buy it online without trying it. It might just not fit. I've tried so many helmets now, and I have such a weirdly shaped head that it's just not gonna, I don't know, maybe I need some Chinese brand or something, I have no idea. However, we succeeded though, and besides me being absolutely drenched in sweat, I realized that, yeah, I need to really train and be active in a physical way. Finally did it though. I got my license, and the only thing between me and the next race is just the doctor appointment that I have to go to get my checkups, and that's everything I have to do, then we can race.
400, 500 Teilnehmer. Ihr seid mir nicht böse, wenn ich euch irgendwann mal, Patrick, wenn ich dich am Rennen wiedersehe und nicht sofort wiedererkenne. Das ist nicht böse gemeint, sondern ich kann mir das einfach alles nicht merken. Gerade bei der BMV, da habe ich das alte Starterfeld bei mir am Netz gemacht. Das ist aber nicht. Seid nicht böse, drehte er mir kurz vom Schienenbein, dann sagte er, ich war der rote Mustang, der sich in der letzten Runde gedreht hat. Ja. Alles klar. Vielen Dank. Ich hoffe, es hat euch Spaß gemacht. Bis bald wieder. Kommt gut nach.
The earliest we can race is in May, right before the 24-hour race, which would be kind of crazy because there you have an audience, and I could see my friends who are there for the 24-hour race anyways, and I hope that's going to be possible. I just have to go to the doctor to get everything approved that I'm healthy and can breathe and I can see, that I'm not blind. They have to test that, and then nothing's gonna stop us. We're ready to race. To me, this was a great experience. I want to thank everyone. A huge thanks to Hassan, because without him teaching me everything, having the car and all of these things, nothing of this would be really possible, and I would be most likely sitting in a seat of a different team. And I think being in a car with a friend is the best thing that you can do. And to me, it felt like a little bit of a brotherhood. Everyone I met there was so friendly. We made friends that day, and friends we will most likely see on the track again in our races. This is really exciting because everyone's gonna be at different points of their career the next time that you will see them. To me, really a life-changing experience currently, and I'm so glad to have you guys part of this. If you want to stick around for the journey, make sure to subscribe, like the video. Please share in the comments with me what your racing experiences were. Did you come from sim racing? Are you planning on going on track? Is this something that you guys want to do as well? Please let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, exciting things coming up. So see you guys in the next videos. Until then, bye bye.